So it's October, and haven't done a gig with anybody for many months, probably 6 months now. But I have been spending a lot of time with an artist that I work with because I live with her. This is her. This is Liv. We work together in the studio, and we're a couple. And I play guitar and MD your live band. Don't I?
You do, yeah.
I do, or I did before.
Yes, I guess you did, yeah.
And I thought that actually, as your guitar player, and you as my artist, if you like, it'd be nice to talk to you about what it is you as an artist look for from session musicians or people who are playing in your band, and like what are the things that people get wrong, and what do they get, what do they get right. Now we've got some do's and don'ts.
Yes. Let's start with a positive.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm all for that.
So the first do was prepare. This was the one that the first thing that came to mind for you, wasn't it?
First thing that came to mind, yeah. Yeah, just prepare, because when you're an artist, maybe regardless of whether you're indie or with a label or whatever, your time and your money is precious.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've got a rehearsal together, if you're prepping for a gig, there's always limited time. When people show up and they're really prepared, they know all the songs. If they have any questions, they got the questions ready. That makes my life so much easier.
Right, so if they show up, they know the songs, they've got their sounds sorted out. If they have like different sounds and stuff to... I think of it primarily as a guitar
for
player,
guitar,
but I guess keyboards as well, and to an extent bass and drums if they're using samples and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So if they show up like fully prepared, that's kind of helpful for you.
Yeah, totally, because some people kind of think of a rehearsal maybe as like, let's figure out how to do this together, whereas I can only speak for myself. I would like for people to have done the prep and then let's come together and just make it sound great, because it's hard to get people together sometimes. And
I think that's an important distinction, isn't it? Because sometimes people are sometimes artists look to their band to help them create the sound, like what we're going to do with this song. So in some cases, artists are looking for musicians to contribute a lot and to figure stuff out with them in the room, and that is kind of where that comes from. But in a lot of cases, and this has been my experience both with you and with other people that I've toured with, that they're looking for you to kind of recreate the record, or they're looking for a pretty specific or pretty close kind of thing. So yeah, it does depend on the band, doesn't it, that you're playing in. Okay, so the second point that I've got, or the second most interesting one to me, is making people look good.
Yeah, I think make your artist look good, and it all ties in with everything. So prepare and do your best job so that the artist looks good, but also the rest of the band. Just be generous with everybody, because if you're a session player, then it doesn't mean that you can't be seen and that you can't be appreciated, but it also means that you have to recognize that it's not all about you, and you have to be quite generous, I think.
What was that thing you were saying about, like, you had two guitarists and there was like a competitive element on stage which was distracting?
Yeah, so in my first band, Are
you okay to talk about this, by the way?
Oh, absolutely.
If you're watching this, guys, you blew it.
Yeah,
you blew it.
The guys that we're working with now is my third band, and I could not be happier with them. They are absolutely amazing in every way, and I hope they continue to be my band for the rest of time. But I've had two other sets of bands before, and there have been sort of pros and cons. But the first band, we had two guitarists, and one of them really, really liked being the centre of attention. And
guitar players, am I right?
Guitar players, and I'm so happy for people to have their moments, but the problem here was that he had this thing that he would do where when the other guitarist had a solo, and that is definitely the time for a guitarist to get a moment, is when they have a solo, like give them that moment. This other guitarist would come up to me, this happened at festivals and stuff, and he would kind of like start goofing around with me, like to the audience, and really kind of pulling attention basically towards us. And
what a douchebag.
It's a really terrible thing to do, because not only is he taking the attention away from the guy playing the solo, but he's also kind of involving me in it. and so it kind of made us all look bad.
Yeah, that's not a good look, is it?
No, it's not. It's not.
I always think that you're kind of, if you're in a position and somebody's got a moment, like the adult thing to do, the big thing to do, the generous, kind thing to do is to be like, yeah, you like, do not distract from somebody in their moment, like with your antics or what you're playing,
and it doesn't make you look good either. It's never going to make you look good.
This is something that has become more and more apparent to me as I've got older and worked with more people, is that the further kind of up the food chain you get, the better the players, the more successful the artists, the nicer the people in the band are, the nicer the musicians are. It's really something. Each time you kind of go, oh, I'm doing this for, it's a little bit more kind of, I'm a bit more nervous, going along to the first day of rehearsals. And then when you meet everybody, you find everyone's actually really nice.
Yeah, because you're not going to get that far by being the kind of person who desperately tries to get all the attention on themselves. Like, that's why those super nice people get that far, because they are nice, everyone wants to work with them again, and also they're focusing on their craft instead of look at me. So yeah. And
even the guys that do show off, I'm thinking guitar wise, guys like Phil X or whatever, the guys that will take the limelight and be like, yeah, they're lovely guys, and they're pretty chilled, and they're like nice people underneath as well. There's no room for huge egos as a session guy. I mean, maybe there is. Maybe there's a certain point at which you get where you can kind of get away with whatever you want. But I think not. And yeah, okay, that's good. Offer something.
Yeah.
What do you like to be offered by? Would you like a coffee?
Would you like? Yeah,
Would you like to come out for a drink sometime?
Exactly. No, I definitely mean, like, again, if you're prepared, then you might have some good ideas. If you really care about the music, if you've listened to it, played around with it, then you might have something extra to offer rather than doing just what's on the record.
So when people bring like ideas or suggestions for what they might play in the track, that helps you feel like you're creating something, like there's a group thing going on. Is that what that?
Yeah, absolutely. Because like it almost sounds like it goes against what I said at the start, because I'm the kind of person who wants you to play what's on the record. But there is room for some elements to change for a live show, and also how you interpret what you're hearing on the record. Because sometimes if we have like 5 different guitars and we don't have 5 guitarists in the band, then what do you choose to do, and what do you kind of bring out from the track and stuff? So yeah,
I suppose that connects with the next one, which was connecting with the music. It all kind of comes into the general kind of idea of like getting absorbed in the track that you're playing, or the songs, the set, and knowing what your role is.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned that one because this is quite a personal one for me, and I don't know if this is important to other artists at all, but I've often experienced that maybe the musicians I'm working with don't always know what the song is about.
Right.
And I don't know, maybe it's not that important, but to me there is a slight fear, or maybe fear is not the right word, but there's a slight kind of hesitation if I go on stage and I feel like the band don't necessarily know what this song is about.
I've had that experience where I've asked somebody like, so what is this song about? They're always keen to talk to you. Okay, let's have a little look at some don'ts.
Don't, what did I say?
Don't upstage the owner of the YouTube channel by trying to do comedy bits to camera. My job.
That's your job.
Yeah.
Yeah, make other people look good. Tone it down.
Tone it down. Time wasting. It seems like an obvious one, but it does happen.
You always have to show up to new places. You're playing festivals. You're playing all these new, every location is maybe somewhere you haven't been before. For me, it creates quite a lot of anxiety when I'm sort of waiting around for my band rather than us being all ready. So that's a way that you can help your band, your artist, tons is by being early, being ready. That's a huge thing.
I think, like, for me, as one of the guys in the band, it's about respect for other people's time. And when everyone's showed up on time, they're driving distances or whatever, and then somebody is not there, you can't get started. And I mean, I've seen artists kind of be like, I think this guy's now on a kind of a bit of a yellow card when everyone's sitting around waiting. And obviously it differs, and accidents happen, things do go wrong, but generally speaking, there are people who are always there on time, and there are people who are rarely there on time, and you've really got to be bringing a lot of something special to be tolerated continually being late.
Yeah, absolutely. We're all human, but you start seeing patterns quite quickly with people, and you kind of go, I don't feel like you care very much if you're never on time. So yeah.
Disrespect. So this was, I think, about when an artist, and I think you've had some experience of that, is kind of a bit bulldozed by people in the band.
Yeah.
What's been your experience of that?
Yeah, I've had quite a lot of different experiences with that, and I don't need to go into like, oh, this is what so-and-so did.
Oh, go on. Give us the nitty. No, you don't have to.
No, I mean, it can be in different areas. It can be, I've had people kind of get involved in how I should run my career and like how I should brand myself and that kind of stuff. And that really, if I didn't ask you, that is not your place.
I feel as though there's a gender thing here as well, that this is something that guys do to girls, women.
Yeah, I think
it's so systemic.
I was kind of hesitating to jump on that. Like, it's so hard for female artists, because I don't know.
Speak freely. I think
it might be like that for some guys too, but I do really sense that that's something that happens when you have, male session musicians or male band members, which you often do because a lot of guys play in bands and stuff. And I've stood in rehearsal and had band members kind of talk over me about what the chords are, and I'm kind of going like, I'm trying to tell you because I wrote the freaking song, and kind of not listening to me, and that it's totally cool like that the musicians talk among themselves because they are the ones playing, and sometimes I'm not playing an instrument, I'm just singing, so it's absolutely fine to have those conversations, but don't kind of talk over me as if you're kind of throwing a ball that I can't reach, because I did write the music, so... Right,
so listen to the friggin' artist when they speak. And I think that's something that, as men, we have to be conscious of.
It's just something to be conscious of. It doesn't have to be like, oh God, I'm a terrible person because I forgot to, do this the right way. Just try and learn from it. Just try and remember who's your boss. And if you're a session musician for an artist, then they are your boss. And unless they've told you to listen to somebody else, then you listen to them, you check with them first. Just kind of remember that someone can be in charge without being loud and shouting about stuff all the time.
The next thing we've got here is don't be a session player if it's all about you. We've kind of touched on this already, but this is a case of knowing, I think, that your role most of the time is to support the artist, and especially on stage and backstage before going on, about if you're feeling nervous or if you're having a great time. My advice or my experience has been that it's quite good to actually just kind of keep that within a little bit and just keep an eye on your artist and see how they're doing, because some do get really nervous, and they might have been doing it for years and years and years and be used to big crowds and tours and stuff like that, but still get very nervous. They can usually hold themselves together, no problem, but
they can hold themselves together, but I'm guessing that if you think about the times that you've really connected with artists before you go on stage, then it's usually a really good gig as well, because I think connecting between everybody in the band, that's my experience anyway, when somebody kind of can tell that I'm a bit nervous, or we're all just kind of checking in with each other. If we go, this is a big gig, isn't it? Oh yeah, it's a bit of it's an important one, or there are loads of people, and kind of just acknowledging what's going on, and then we're like going out there together. And yeah, like you say, like really big artists, you might be sat there with them thinking, oh God, like they're so used to this and I'm kind of nervous, you know. But they might be really nervous because they feel the pressure, the expectation, and to just be acknowledged.
Because they're human beings too.
Yeah.
And this reminds me of, like, this is another point that we've got, which is like the idea of kind of riding into battle with your artist.
And it really is a real thing, you know, to have to feel connection. So that is quite important to do between you and the artist, between you and the other musicians.
It's just a more fun way of doing things,
Yeah.
I think. Like, just to be like a little team. Now, you're pretty undemanding, but it's not uncommon that you might have somebody say, oh, would you mind tuning my guitar? Would you mind doing that sort of thing? And I think this is very much a matter of a choice, whether you want to get involved in helping the artist with their equipment. But I don't think it does you any harm to help them, as long as it doesn't impact on your ability to do your own job. In terms of, like, you know, you might be asked to tune someone's guitar or lend them a lead or something, but it might then mean that you haven't got that longer lead that you need in some venues because now the artist is using it. So it's a question of your own sort of choices as to how you deal with those requests from artists.
But I think it's nice to be ready and think, I can do this for them, I can have the right pick for you if you need it. But yeah, definitely know your boundaries, because just like I can ask you not to kind of take over my job, you should also have the right to say, that isn't my job, and can you sort that out in a different way?
Again, I think communication is the important bit there. If you can explain what the issue is and maybe look for a different solution, find a member of the crew who can do it instead of you, so that you can just focus on being organised and getting your stuff done. There's some real obvious stuff that we've written down here, like don't get hammered, don't be too loud. Do we need to touch on don't be too loud?
I just want to add to kind of listen to what people ask you to do. It's not, I wouldn't say generally just like, guitarists, don't be too loud. But I would say if you're constantly being told, like, mate, you're still too loud, it's still too loud, like every rehearsal or every gig, then you're not paying attention. So I'd say just try to listen and adapt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it falls into that thing of just don't be asked several times to do the same thing over and over again.
You have to decide what's important to you. If you want to do things exactly your way and you won't compromise, then you also have to be prepared for that to cost you a job, you know, a tour, it could cost you loads of money. So you need to decide what's important to you.
Yes, if you want it to be all about you and your you expressing yourself fully in the way that you choose with no compromises, then being a supporting artist is probably not the job for you.
No, exactly.
Feel free to try.
You can try it, yeah, exactly.
Clothing.
Again, just kind of listen to what you're being asked. I'm pretty relaxed about what you guys wear because I know that none of you have a very crazy style.
Or no style at all.
You're all very stylish. No, but me personally, I'm like, wear what you want to wear, but that might not work with every musician. So I think if someone's asking you to kind of do something, then try and adapt to that. Again, if you don't want to adapt to that, then maybe you should start your own band or something.
Yeah, that's fair comment.
Yeah.
All right, I think that sums it up. I think we've covered it all. I'm happy to hear any questions or things that I've missed. Mileage may vary. Thank you for watching. Liv, you can go. And that just leaves you and I to talk about, actually these artists, don't listen to them. They're a pain in the arse. Just smile and nod and you'll be fine. Okay, thank you. See you in the next one. Take care. Like, subscribe. Bye-bye. Right, so I'll have popped you out there, hopefully.
Very nice, very nice.
We'll see. Okay, am I the same height as you here?
I think so.
Right.